How's it going, everybody? It's Enigma Towles. We are back with a surprise album that surprised myself as well. Um, Definitely not in the plans, but sometimes it just works out that way. Uh, just wanted to kind of give you an idea of just kind of behind the scenes as to how this album came about. Um, any details that may have been included, maybe something that needs to be explained further, or whatever the case may be. But first and foremost, thank you to everybody who's heard Cabin Fever. Anybody's giving me some reception back on it, and the everything going on. I appreciate it all. And let's hop right into it. Kind of want to give you a backstory as to how the album came about, because when I made Special Delivery was gonna be kind of like going out with a bang type of album. A lot of it was after I made Bryant Park. Uh, there was just a lot of bitterness that was growing in me about doing the music. A lot of the struggles came from you put your heart and soul into a song concepts, and then you share it with the world. And it's not to say that there's good or bad reception, it's just that there's none whatsoever. So a lot of that bitterness stirred up as I watch you know videos of I guess you could say kind of like meaningless things being shared on social media, and unfortunately violence and these clickbaity videos that's basically toilsome to our spirits. And those videos get the biggest impressions in the world, and they get the eyeball, but you could be putting your heart and soul into something and doing the best you can to spread awareness to it, and it gets no love, no reception. So it just reminds me that when it comes to life, I'm always gonna be husband, father, and everything else goes right after that. And I have to remember in my own spirit that it's because if I put too much stock into something that doesn't bear fruit anymore, then it's just going to drain me. So my intentions was to leave and take a break, focus on family, focus on anything that I could do constructively and creatively that would bring me fulfillment and joy. With Special Delivery, I got a little bit of that drive back and decided, hey, I can go ahead and put some time into writing new material, and it kind of just worked on its own. But I wanted to play off of that spirit that I was having at that time to kind of express what I was feeling, and it worked. So therefore, that's how you got Special Delivery. And I wanted to, take a little time off from it and then jump back into it maybe at a later time, like maybe next year or later in the year. And then we have the pandemic, from the coronavirus, from everything you can think of that's been going on. And it weighs heavy on you creatively, because it can cause a paralysis. But if you're stuck in your thoughts for so long, then it hinders you as the individual. So you have to get it out some way or another. So I just opened up my phone and started writing there, writing ideas on notepads, and before you know it, a lot of the songs started writing themselves. So then I started creating like a schedule to get the songs done, and the recording process was very fluid. I wrote majority of the songs within like a month's time, and then had a schedule where I would write at night for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes a day, and then it became what it became. There was a lot of material on the project that didn't make it, but it was for good reasons, because a lot of it was in bad taste. And when you are spewing your raw emotions, sometimes you got to know what things should bring life and what things may take away from the overall message that you were trying to do. And I don't want to have, you know, a album, you know, just full of just splattered emotions that don't have some sense of relation to anyone. Because if anything, I'll have to look back at it as well and the projects that I do, and then I'm like, did this project express what it was that I was trying to convey? And if it doesn't follow that mold, then therefore I trash it and I move on to the next. So yeah, to break it down, Cabin Fever, excuse me, is an album that is about that feeling that most people are feeling right now in this pandemic. It's restlessness, it's boredom, it's anxieties, it's a mental health condition when you're in a confined space for an extended period of time. That's what cabin fever is. So in other words, I basically, every song is about that conceptually, and you're getting an invitation to me and my experiences with, you know, anxieties and vulnerabilities, emotions, wide ranges of emotions that you're experiencing throughout the album, things that you're seeing me as a creator go through on paper. Some of these concepts that are showing up in the album are emotions that were stirred up from being in a confined place. So you have songs like Conversations, where Conversations is about grief and an experience in my life that, in my mind, and I always thought that I was healing in. I may have not completely done all the necessary healing to move forward from that situation and the shock of grief that has been stirred on me. Also, you have, you know, songs like Anxious for Nothing that remind you, in a way, you're basically anxious, but a lot of what we're anxious about, they're ideals that we've conjured up in ourselves because we're so trapped in our own thoughts, and we can be a little bit more nicer to ourselves once we are able to manage our anxieties and become friends with our fears. Also, I've had other songs on there like Souvenir, where it makes you think about mortality. It makes you think about who you are as an individual and what mark do you leave on the world when you're no longer here. Are there going to be good things that bring life to others, or is it something that could be deconstructing? So I definitely wanted to play on that as well, to, you know, just to see creatively if I could do it. So some of these songs I was really, really hoping that I could step out of my comfort zone, because the more vulnerable songs I've done before, but they've always been within certain realms of me. But I wanted to try different angles, different ideas. And a lot of the concepts that were on this project, they make me feel as if I did that job. And this may have been the easiest flowing album that I've done, because there was no pressure that was placed on me to get this one central part executed. It wasn't trying to out-bar you to death. It was just really good writing that happened from me just being open and honest with myself. And yeah, I want to make sure that I hit all my points, so I have my notes with me as well, because I want to make sure that I get at everything, because there was a few questions. Okay, here's a good question that I got. It was Oh, I'm saying that wrong. Hold on, excuse me. Oh, what can we discover from this album? Is it the music? I would say yes, the music is what you discover, but it's also a direction of relatability. You have you have songs and concepts, and I can do that all day, and it can be, whatever it is made out to be. But if an individual can find a song, or maybe something I said in a song, something I said that stuck out to them, and they carry it on forever and ever, then it's a lifetime worth of information, and it could spawn their creative muscles to go and do something creative. I also saw, do I have a favorite track? I don't know if I have a favorite, but there are tracks that I play heavy in rotation, like right now, Riled Up, Anxious for Nothing, and Gold. Gold, I think, is probably going to be one of my songs that I look back on musically and be like, okay, this one did its job. And Cabin Fever is one of my better intros in the recent years. So definitely that as well. Um, if there's anything that I think that this album, the last question I had was, if there's anything that I think that this album will speak on, is making the best of your situation. I know that we're dealing with a pandemic right now, and we got everything going on, and the world is in a disarray in many ways and in others, and we're seeing we're seeing something we've never seen before. But it also could be an opportunity for us to get done those things that we've had on our list for decades, or 5 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. It may be certain goals that you can achieve now. There could be things that you could do in this moment that could help restore you within yourself and could be a service to you, something, or you could be devoting your time to help heal other people in this pandemic who've suffered the loss of loved ones. It could also be an indicator that there's this boatload of time that we've been allotted from this situation, and we may never get this again. And that was my driving motivation to do this project and to stick with it, because it's just easy for an artist to say, okay, I just wrote a bunch of songs, recorded them, and I think that's just all I want to do. And I don't see a purpose in delivering this to this world because of whatever it may be they feel internally about it. Some is that they don't feel like they're ready to share it, or that it's not done yet, or some in my situation where I felt there was no purpose in sharing it because nobody's going to listen to it. And sometimes we can be our own worst critic, we can be our own worst enemy, and we mentally have to prepare ourselves to get over that level and enjoy the moment that we're in, because it can be the greatest setup for whatever it is that we're set out to be doing and to live out our purpose. And when we remember that we're put on this earth for a purpose, and that we're put on this earth specifically to serve, we remember, and it gives us a sense of humility so that we can move forward with our lives and do whatever it is that we've been gifted to go do. So yeah, if there's any questions that you definitely want to know about this project, please let me know. You can comment on this video. You can also send me anything on social, IMs, message, whatever you need to do. That'll be great. And if you haven't heard the album, as it currently stands, Cabin Fever is available on YouTube, but it takes the DSPs like Spotify and Apple Music, it takes them a while to pick up your project. So once those stores approve it, then it'll go live there, and I'll be able to give you more information on that as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And just keep doing the best that you can do in this world. And don't forget the gift that you have and how your service to the world gives light to everybody else, because you are a light to the world. And don't be your worst enemy, because we can do that. Alrighty, y'all. Peace.